At this point, you should make 1 or 2 economy-sized trips to the quarry and farm marble. If you do it right, you'll not have to return here for quite some time. I tend to have 100 marble pieces by the time I'm finished with a single visit. Marble is now the building material of choice for the graveyard. This is where the tech tree will pretty much take care of itself. Remember the first time you used your prayer for inspiration and then cycled through all of your stories into chapters and notes? Do that again. You should have a good stockpile of these saved up and nothing to do with them. Like before, you can cycle through all of your stories, and in so doing will earn you enough blue points to unlock marble headstones. Researching the 2 headstones in the marble fence will earn you about 300 additional blue points. The blue research points you obtain from these will allow you to obtain the next tier, and so forth. Most of the church tech is now in the bag. For a brief period of time, you'll be swimming in hundreds of blue points. Just be sure you've saved up enough faith to research all of these at once, or it won't be this easy. You've probably now unlocked enough church upgrades to get a natural church rating of over 60 even without lighting candles or any incense. This is pretty much the max you'll ever need. While more will generate more faith, it won't be needed. If you haven't researched the tech to get level 2 confessionals or level 2 incense burners or silk pews yet, you can increase the church to 50 via candles with candelabras. You'll still not be able to upgrade the church to a cathedral until you obtain 3 golden statues, however. Research and engineer will help with this, as well as help with creating better books. This engineering perk will be useful after you craft a golden chisel and are attempting to make 3 gold quality busts. Without the prayer for excellence, you'll have an 80% chance to make a gold bust with a gold chisel and this perk by itself. Each attempt takes 5 faith. Don't worry too much, as if you fail the gold, you'll make silver. Silver busts are useful in and of themselves. Finally, giving the bishop his 3 golden statue busts will upgrade your church the final time. You'll be able to put more prayer altars and a stained glass window inside, as well as everything else. It's also necessary to progress the storyline and obtain key items to completing the game. It's also here that you'll realize you'll require an aristocrat title, and that'll cost you 12 gold. By this point, you should be using the merchant's barn to sell crated vegetables every week. This will be one of your largest sources of income as you progress into the late game. The merchant requires 3 fame and 7 crates sold to advance his quest. Generating the 3 fame for your business comes naturally, just upgrading to 5 pallets via flyers. 7 crate sales will happen in 2 or 3 weeks, tops. Another temporary source of income is the concession booth on Witch Hill. If you're growing golden onions and have a stockpile of meat and golden hops, you'll be able to make a little income here. Each raft day you'll be able to make 33 silver if you sell the golden beer and burgers. You'll only be able to do this about 3 times, however. As soon as you've opened your concession stand 1 time, you'll be able to talk with the innkeeper about your beer. If you give him a sample of your golden quality, he'll allow you access upstairs, and you'll obtain the hidden mead recipe. Mead may give more energy than beer, but you can't sell it like you can beer, so its usefulness is personal. While at the tavern, if it's the right day of the week, you can progress Charm's story a little too. She wants you to convince Snake to give back her necklace. After around 3 witch burnings, you'll notice the Inquisitor wants to talk with you. He'll say that the king doesn't condone the Inquisition and therefore must require proof of heresy. The Inquisitor will unlock dark organs for you, and from there, you can unlock Cultist. This is highly recommended for this late in the game. I tend to wait until now to begin venturing into the dungeon. I'll have better gear and better access to things like healing potions. When I start dungeon delving, I usually build a chest to drop off all the loot I find. It's easy to just offload all the things you find in a single chest and sort them later. And you'll find a lot of things down in the dungeon. And, since you're dungeon delving a little, a bit of combat tech should prove useful. Dungeon delving will yield a moderate supply of both silver and gold ore. If you don't squander the gold you find, it will carry you through every quest in the game. There's also diamond veins starting around floor 8 or 9. I believe 2 or 4 exist in total. This is why I unlock all the blacksmith tech pertaining to ore before I begin dungeon delving. By now, it's also highly recommended you begin crafting speed potions. If you've collected enough resources, you should be able to trickle a steady supply of them for a good portion of the late game. Once you start speeding up, you'll always want this buff. You will now have a small supply of gold and silver ore nuggets, if you haven't found a couple already via iron gathering. About 5 nuggets of each will set you up for quite some time down in the alchemy lab. Research them both and break them down to powder. This is the missing ingredient you need necessary for both silver and gold elixirs, and which in turn are the main ingredient of silver and gold embalming fluids. While you're at it, create some glue. In order to progress some alchemy for embalming or such, you may need to go back to Clotho and buy some things. Don't go overboard, but a little dark solution and maybe some tanning solution might be useful. Death solution is needed for alkali, the main ingredient for the 4th main embalming fluid you'll be using. Once you're ready, it's time to craft a nice bulk of supplies for your embalming table down in the morgue. While it's not necessary to go all out, I just prefer to have a nice stockpile at hand before I begin any serious embalming. It also lets me know exactly when to resupply if I craft and use them all in equal amounts. You'll also get a delightful amount of blue points for creating them. If you've gotten down to past level 5 in the dungeon, you'll have bloody nails and a bucket of blood that Snake requests. He'll use them for a summoning that goes less than stellar. He realizes he'll need the Necronomicon. At this time, you can obtain restoration tools from him, which will be needed in order to obtain this book from the astrologer. That is, if you talk to the astrologer first and realize that you need the restoration tools and the acid. Snake will also tell you to talk to a guard at the fort to find a person of interest if you ask him about Charm's necklace. You also now have the option to get a town pass and a meat stamp for free from him, if you didn't buy them via the church mailbox. Now there's a reason to go up to the fort, but on your way up there you might as well stop at the inn and receive closure on the quest about the meat stamp. You'll probably never package meat though, as it's scarcely worth the effort. Now you can speak with the guard up by the fort entrance about the man named Kokol. He'll tell you that Kokol likes to visit the forest at night. This triggers him to spawn, so visit the forest at night to find him. Note, if you do this in the evening, you'll have to wait till the next evening for him to start spawning. And now, if you want a shortcut back home, just use your newly acquired town pass and let the scene play out. You'll get a string of dialogue from Jerry who says you should probably mention it to Snake about getting the things you need in town. This is a completely optional tree of dialogue, but it is kind of fun. The Jeweler perk will top off the Carpentry tech tree for you. Jewelry is needed once for one of Charm's quests, and can be useful later to sell, should you find enough resources. And, if you feel like it, pick up Wine Master.